Welcome to Brews and Boxing. We are your Ric Flair is trending for the right reason leader. Welcome to another week. It is fight week. Can't wait. Big fight week. A lot of things to talk about getting into fight week, but a lot of news also to get into before we get into the main fight this weekend. Big fight. I always love big fight weeks. With me, as always, are my two nature boys, always experts on the show. Filthy Rich, you're the first one. How are you doing, buddy?
Look, I'm in a good mood. Max Kellerman looks like he's going to be leaving First Take. I am so excited. He was way too good for that show. Friend of the show, in a way, answered our question months ago. But congrats, Max. I'm going to drink to you here in a sec. Can't wait to keep following you, dude.
And our other expert is the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun. He is the one, the only Judge Jimmy James. Judge, how are you?
Here's a little sidetrack info or Star Trek info for you. Montgomery Scott, if you didn't know him, he was actually wounded in friendly fire on at Normandy Beach and lost his middle finger. Look at his right hand if you can ever see it, because I didn't know that until today. Interesting side note.
Shut up, Wesley. All right, moving on here. Moving on with the show. As I said, we got a lot of news to get into. And, of course, it's big fight week with Pacquiao fighting Ugas. We're going to break that all down for you later in the show. I can't wait for that. It's going to be a good time. But first, gentlemen, since we have a lot to get to, it's time to crack a beer since the name of the show is Brews and Boxing, and that's what we do. So, gentlemen, cheers to fight week. Let's go. Woo! And let's go on with the show. All right, Brews and News this week. Lots of news to get to before we get to the big fight this weekend, where we break that all down. First one, we have some big news of another big fight coming up. Canelo and Plant have come back to the table, and they figured it out to decide who is going to be the man, because to be the man, you have to beat the man. Woo! Canelo and Plant, November 6th is when they're going to be fighting. Next big fight on the calendar. Would it be the biggest fight of the year to you guys, or is that the heavyweight fight that might not happen with Wilder and Fury? What do you guys think? You guys excited that this one finally got done and rebacked? Was it all just a ploy to get more money, or what was it? Filthy Rich, we'll start with you. Break that down for us a little bit on what happened and what to look forward to.
Well, the first thing I think of is like better late than never. Because apparently this fight was held back and the negotiations broke at like the 11th hour simply because of the very minor details. It doesn't sound like the money or anything else has changed. The only thing that has changed is if someone gets sick, what do we do? Or if someone pulls out, what do we do? And it looks like those details are ironed out. Everything else looks to be a go. It's a one-fight deal. I'm guessing Canelo will stick around for a couple more fights after that, because it sounds like the Benavidez fight will probably happen. And just in case Jermall Charlo moves up to 168, that fight can happen. But again, these are going to be one-fight deals. Canelo's going to go where the money is. Good for him. That's what I would encourage every fighter to do. Fight of the year? I don't know. I mean, I think the Saunders fight was going to be fight of the year. I remember watching with you guys, and I think we had it a very close fight until Saunders got his face broken. But this should be a good fight. I'm excited for it. That's all I can contribute to this.
Right on. The fight will be on the PBC along with Canelo Productions. Biboda Canelo Productions is going to be producing this one November 6th in Las Vegas. Judge, what do you think about this fight against Caleb Plant? Do you think if Canelo wins this fight and unifies all the belts, does he move up, or is he going to wait for Charlo to come up to him?
Well, for that question, I think he's going to move up. If he gets the belts here, then he'll just keep trying to be dominant at higher weights.
175?
He'd go to 175. He ain't going to be able to go more than that. Well, I mean, this Canelo, I don't know, he's climbing all over the place, but I don't think he's going to be able to go more than that. But that would be the highest that he would go in the next spot, where he already has some experience in it, beating Kovalev. So easily he can come back up to 175 and just stay there and attempt another run, I guess his last hurrah before he does retire, because he does say that he wants to retire within 5 years, I think, is what I remember before. But I don't know. It's for fight of the year. No, I don't think it's fight of the year. I think it's a good fight. It could be fight of the year. We never know, right? It's 100% possible. I mean, interesting thing was, at least from what the story that I got off of ESPN, was that the reason the fight fell apart in September was because of a weird stipulation that Canelo wanted in the contract, which was if Plant were to get injured or sick, that Canelo would still get the same guaranteed money and they would find a replacement fight for that day. However, if it were reverse and Canelo got sick or injured, then Plant would have to wait for Canelo to be healthy again in order to fight on that day, that card, and get that money, which was just, I don't know why that was the sticking point. I mean, I guess we're in the times we're in, you could get sick real quick, but kind of a weird contingency to put in there. I mean, either way, Canelo is the aggressor and everything right now. He is the guy that you beat. He's the man. So he can make these weird clauses, and if they didn't want to get to it, then all right. I don't know why it's different now, because I'm assuming it has to have the same clause in it. I wouldn't see why we would just get rid of it now because it's 2 months later, or 3 months later. But I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out in later news. But I mean, yeah, this is it should still be an entertaining fight because most of Canelo's fights are entertaining. So,
well, one quick question on that that's also going to tie this to the Pacquiao fight this weekend. After he beats Plant and moves up to 175, like we talked about, if he wins a belt at 175, that'll be 5 different weight classes that he's won a belt in. One behind Manny at 6. Is there a conceivable notion in your guys' mind that he could move up to cruiserweight at 200 to match him at 6? Because he ain't going to go all the way back down. Is there a possibility that he goes after? Because, Canelo's talked about being the best of all time. Canelo, to be the best pound for pound of all time, you gotta have to at least match Manny's 6. Is that a possibility, or is that just way too far a stretch to get to 200?
Let me jump in quickly. I'll let you take that one. I do want to mention Julio Cesar Chavez was actually 175. That was a catchweight fight, which is why he pounded Chavez Jr. Obviously,
yeah, Caesar salad. Yeah.
So there's 2 guys he's already beaten at 175. I think he's going to do really well at 175, and I do think he can go up to cruiserweight. Cruiserweight is not like this glamorous division, and if you think about it, there's also this thing called a Bridgerweight division, which I don't know how much merit that's going to hold 10, 20 years from now, but he's got a couple more divisions he can mess around with. Roy Jones went up to heavyweight and won a piece of a title. So again, these titles mean nothing, but they mean something to the fighter because it is something that they accomplished at the end of their career. History will say that this dude is a X amount division champion. Go ahead, clear up the Manny thing.
Okay. Well, one thing, there's a big difference between going from 6 to 7 pounds up to 25 pounds. The difference between light heavyweight and cruiserweight. That the 25 pounds is a big jump.
Well, before we keep this conversation going, Manny Pacquiao is the only boxer to win a title in 8 divisions. So
8?
Canelo would have to go 2 cruiser, 2 heavyweight, and maybe back down to a weight that he hasn't fought in. And I don't think he's going to lose like 80 pounds, but maybe he will. Cocaine, Mexico. Hey, arriba. But yeah, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, he would still be in some definite Hall of Fame type company with 5 or even 6 different divisions.
Well, in that theory, he could get to 7. I'm sorry, because you could get the Bridgerweight and heavyweight and cruiserweight. Would you get him to 7?
But even
for some reason, I was thinking it was 6 for Manny. I'm sorry for our fans. That said no when I said it, he goes, "It's 8." Well, for some reason, it was 6 in my mind.
Even then, when we talk pound for pound, when we get to the heavyweight division, we talk Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. That was a 50-pound difference. I mean, you may as well call it like 4 or 5 divisions right there. So he's going to have to go up to heavyweight at some point. But, if there is any truth to him retiring 5 years, which I know he's mentioned it, but Mayweather's retired 3 or 4 times. Guys will retire. De La Hoya is coming out of retirement. So anyone can just call a retirement. Andre Ward's like the only one to stay retired. I think everyone else comes out, but comparing him to Manny, it's kind of two different things. I think Manny's competition was tougher. If you look at Manny's resume, he fought the who's who of the Hall of Fame. Right now, Canelo's beaten some big name guys, but how many Hall of Famers has he beat by the time his career is over? We'll have to wait and see.
I could name a couple, but he didn't beat Triple G. I'll still go to my grave saying that. But anyway, all right, let's move on. We stuck a lot on that one because it's Canelo, and of course we have to stick a lot with Canelo because it's Canelo. But we'll talk about Judge's favorite guy coming up here, Terence Crawford and Sean Porter. The PBC and Top Rank don't expect to reach a deal, so the WBO is going to probably call a purse bid, which the PBC looks like they would probably be favored to win. What do you think about this? What network should it be on, the PBC or Top Rank? Judge, we'll start with you.
Oh, put it on all of them. I don't like who cares at this point. I don't care. Like, this is the biggest name. If being a Crawford fan, this is the biggest name that Crawford has fought in forever. Like, let's get the fight on. I don't care. Simulcast on everyone. $5 a piece. Everyone gets a little bit. Charge $80 for it. I don't care. I'll pay $80 for it. I'll pay $80 for it right now. All right. And we will watch it on every streaming service. I will get 8 different screens. I don't care. Like, just get it done and don't delay it any further. The fans deserve to see this. So that way, either people can shut up or people can be backing up what they've been saying for years, right? Like, one of the two is going to happen. We just need to see it. Personally, this is just silly. This is just silly. I hate promoters. Bob Arum, I don't like you, man. I'm sorry, dude. I don't.
Would you say that promoters are the dirtiest player in the game? Rich got that reference.
I did not get that reference, but
Rich did,
yes.
for sure. I know Rich got it.
Okay.
Rich, what do you think about this purse bid? WBO calling out a purse bid to get this thing done, or do you think they're just it's gonna get canceled again? Like it seems like all Crawford fights, he'll fight some guy that just fought at the Armory last week.
Well, I don't know about the canceling thing, but let's not get our hopes up. They can make the fight all they want, and then like Spence, he's going to have eye surgery or something. So let's not get carried away. Let's not get too excited here. But when you talk about which network should carry this fight, you know what? Just go to Triller. I think Triller is going to probably have the money to outbid both of those big names. But when Pacquiao fought Mayweather, first of all, let's get this out of the way. The referee is not contractually obligated to work for either network or any promotion. So we got the referee out of the way. We got judges out of the way. They're not contractually obligated to anything. It's going to be commentary and post-fight stuff. When it came to Pacquiao Mayweather, I believe it was Jim Gray, who works for Showtime, interviewed Mayweather, and Max Kellerman, who worked for HBO, interviewed Pacquiao, who was with HBO. That's kind of how they made that part of the fight happen. They also had like the commentary booth was made up of either a mixture of guys or there was like the pre-fight team versus like the play-by-play team. So the fight can happen. How do you build the undercard? Just get one top-ranked guy in a showcase fight, a PBC guy in a showcase fight, make them all welterweights. This should be like a heavy welterweight pay-per-view. Just promote every welterweight you can that you can fit in this budget. But ultimately, this should go to Triller. I would vote for Triller. I hope they have the money because they make a good show. It's not just about a fight. You can't get up between rounds. You can't get up between fights. You are glued to the set the entire time. And maybe Ric Flair shows up with Pete Davidson again. Woo!
Hey, you put Flair in there instead of Oscar De La Hoya, and 100%.
Well, you guys are forgetting they got Jim Lampley now too. That's big.
Oh, that's fair.
Jim Lampley. I'd love to watch Jim Lampley call this fight. That'd be a great thing to hear again. That's nostalgia back for me. Hear Jim.
I
Lampley
agree.
again. I wish he was doing the fight this weekend. That would be amazing to watch.
They could probably get what's the guy's name? That said, I'd kick your ass if I was 25 years younger. He's still alive. I can't remember his name right now.
I know what you're talking about.
Larry Merchant.
Larry
They
Merchant.
could get Larry Merchant too. Why not sign him? Just go all out, man.
Have
Do
him
it.
fight Mayweather in the undercard. Yeah, it's Triller. You could do it.
Right?
I'll buy.
I'd buy that. And then have Ric
James?
Flair in the slap fight instead of refereeing the slap fight like he did last time. By the way, it was the greatest Triller thing ever. Is to have the slap fight with refereed by Ric Flair. This is amazing. I don't know why you didn't like that, James. I loved it. All right, let's move on here because if we talk too much Crawford, Jim's heart rate gets too high, and then he won't be able to finish the show. Rich, you got your dancing shoes on? Because it's time to talk about the sexiest man in boxing. You guessed it, Amir Khan. That's right, Amir Khan's in the news. Eddie Hearn is talking with Amir Khan. He met him today, probably on the beach somewhere because Amir Khan is that gorgeous and always has to have the sun glistening off the ocean behind him. To discuss a Kell Brook fight. They've been talking about this fight for what it seems like about 50 years now. Kell Brook, hopefully his face is in the shape of a face again. But probably be the big farewell fight, and it would be a big money fight in England, I'd imagine. Eddie Hearn might be able to buy a house after this fight. Rich, what do you think about Eddie Hearn meeting with Amir Khan? Has it got a chance to happen?
I think there's a good chance of it happening. I think that now is the time. Before Amir Khan has, quote unquote ducked him, some of his reasons were legitimate. He's like, I'm coming off a loss. Kell Brook is coming off a loss. We need to rebuild our profiles again to make people want to buy this. Every excuse he had in the book, I don't know, man. They seemed legit to me, even if they weren't. They seemed reasonable. But at this point, I think Amir Khan's coming off of a loss to Crawford. Kell Brook is coming probably off a loss to Errol Spence. Was that his last fight? I don't remember his last fight. Maybe it was Crawford.
Amir Khan's last fight was it the one we got punched in the testicles?
Brook and Khan probably both their last fights were probably both against Crawford. You can look it up while we're talking here. But,
I'll look it up while we're talking.
But they're not getting any younger. They don't have much of a career left. If you're going to leave on your biggest payday, this will be the biggest payday for both of them. I guarantee you they're not going to make more money after this fight if they choose to fight anyone else. So, yeah, I hope it happens. I actually think it will. I don't know when, but I think it will.
His last fight was actually 3 months after he fought Terence Crawford. He fought Billy Dibb and won by TKO.
That's right.
In a 3-star bout that they called it for the vacant World Boxing Council International Welter title, one of 1,000 belts. I'm sure that Amir Khan still has.
Gesundheit? What?
Yeah, exactly. The King Khan. What do you think about King Khan? You didn't get your dancing shoes up there, James. I was a little disappointed in you, but maybe you'll save it for Seabock's wedding coming up here. You get your dancing shoes on there. But
disappointed.
What do you think about this? Is this fight going to actually happen? And how much are you going to pay for it in British pounds so we can get up there and watch it?
Look, man, I don't know the conversion rate for old sterling, so someone's going to have to let me know what that is. But this fight has been talked about for so long. If you want to talk about fans of the UK who just lost, what was it? Sky Sports lost all the rights to Matchroom. Matchroom pulled out of Sky Sports, and now they can't even see a lot of UK fights in the UK, which is super weird. Yeah. Way to go, Eddie Hearn. But this has been a fight that's been trying to be made for a very long time. Whatever reason why it's not happening, who knows? The interesting thing about this piece of news, at least from my takeaway from it, is that Eddie Hearn, for some reason, wants one of these guys to try to fight Conor Benn first. Because of
why?
I don't know. You take your guess, right? Conor Benn's an up-and-coming welterweight. Why he wants to fight them, I have no idea. There is absolutely no benefit to Kell Brook or Amir Khan fighting Conor Benn at this stage of their career. Even in the UK, there's just no. It's all a bonus for Ben. I hope neither of them take this on. I hope Matchroom and Eddie Hearn does not force this or something like that. So to get that out of the way, if Brook Khan comes out, that would probably be, it's a fight I would watch. That's for sure. But it's Man, I don't know if we have that many gifts or sound bites for a preview or an after show like that, and I don't know how to do it in live, doing it live. So you might have to get a lot of poster board there, Raider Live.
Why would Eddie Hearn want one of these guys coming off a loss to promote this fight? That makes no sense. Why wouldn't you just have the winner fight him? I don't understand that. Is this why Eddie Hearn's the worst promoter in all the sports?
Oh no, he's not.
He's the
not.
best.
Well, that was a terrible
good.
business idea. If you lose a house over Terence Crawford, then you have to be one of the worst businessmen.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe Amir Khan doesn't want this fight unless he knows Kell Brook can't beat him. Hey, put in Conor Benn, and if Conor Benn can beat him, then I know I can beat him. So we don't know the ins and outs of what's going on in Eddie Hearn's brain. We don't know what's going on in Amir Khan's sexy brain either. So that could just be something. I don't know. But the worst part is if Conor Benn loses, I mean, I'm not saying this guy's the golden ticket here, but protecting an undefeated record is, it's kind of a sacred thing. I don't think anyone.
He's the next big thing over there too.
Right? You don't want to. Just my opinion. I could be wrong, and again, I've never been wrong. So.
No, you've never been wrong. So I agree.
Drink to that. Oh,
yeah, I'll drink to that too. I got to open up a new beer to drink to that. But you're never wrong. So it makes no sense to me, but I hope we can watch it because we'll have a big dance party over at your house, James. I'll bring the lights. I'll bring my big lights for my show. We'll have strobes and stuff. We'll have a dance party when Amir comes out. We'll put it on mute and put our actual music on.
This is the time on Sprockets when we dance.
It'd be great.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. Filthy Rich appears frozen on my screen. Hopefully he's not on yours.
Oh no, he's ready to rock.
No, hey, all right, he's
I
ready.
got
to
ice
rock.
in my veins.
Right on. All right, let's move on to the next piece of news here. Roland Romero says Devin Haney is a bum with no chin. Give me Gervonta Davis. Give him the tank instead of Haney. Is Romero talking out of his bum, or is he the man and is trying to prove it? James, we'll start with you.
Oh, man.
I don't know if Devin Haney's a bum.
Raleigh Romero is confident, I guess, right? That's what I'm going to use that word for. Doesn't mean it's a positive. His last fight,
he's got that Seabot confidence.
Looked very unpolished, and I'm really trying to be as nice as I can, man. If he thinks that he's ready for either Devin Haney or Gervonta Davis, I think he is dead wrong, and he needs to just zip it and keep fighting, and he needs to get better at his game before he starts calling anybody email champs or bums or no chins, frail fighters. Whatever. He's promoting himself. He's getting us talking about it, but I think he gets waxed by either of them. And I don't think Devin Haney's anything that fantastic at this point either. So that's interesting words by old Rolly.
Well, Romy would get banned from friend of the show Boxing Elite group for that kind of comment, that kind of talk. We don't accept that around here. Especially, I wish that Devin Haney and Davis would come out like Canelo and say, "Who are you? I don't care who you are. Get out of here. You're a bum. I don't care." Filthy Rich, what do you think about Raleigh saying Haney's a bum with no chin?
Well, that's it. I think that's exactly what he wants. He wants these guys to call him out on Twitter or something to kind of make a name for himself, get people talking about Rolly Romero. What's his name? I mean, not to we'll call him what's his name, but like James said politely that he had a sloppy fight. Now, look, I'll be the first one to tell you styles make fights. So he may have not been matched up with a good opponent. He looks mean. He looks like he wants it. Looks like he wants to fight, but he didn't look polished that last fight. He ended up winning. Great. But I don't even know what weight class he's at. Haney, I think, is fighting at 130, and you got Davis at 140. I don't know. Are you just trying to call out the big names? Because, like, that makes sense. Everyone wants to call out the big names. Andre called out Canelo, and just like you said, he's like, "Who are you? I don't care." And you're a nobody. But Romero just has to keep fighting whoever's in his way and keep calling out the big names. At some point, your mouth will write the checks that hopefully you can cash, but those are tough fights. I don't know. I don't know if he's ready for those fights yet.
Rolando Romero sounds like a soccer player, James. That's what I think of every time I hear of Rolando Romero.
Oh, 100%. I could,
Sounds like a
yeah.
soccer player.
He
He
could be in
sounds
the,
like
he's in
he
the
played for
starting
Barcelona
lineup,
or
man.
something, you know?
He's in the starting lineup playing in Serie A, 100%.
Yeah, it seems like a guy I'd score on you with in FIFA. Well, hit the post with.
Yeah, definitely sloppy and hit the post, 100%.
All right, we're running a little short on time, but we're going to hit this last bit of news here real fast. Joe Smith Jr. and Omar Salamov have inked contracts to fight in October/November on ESPN. I think that's probably going to be a free fight from what it sounds like, which is going to be nice. Joe Smith Jr. on a free fight. It's always nice to get a few free fights like this. Real quick, does this fight jump out at you as anything you want to see? Filthy Rich, start at you, Joe Smith Jr.
Yeah, I guess I'll watch Joe Smith. I like Joe Smith. I just hope the Little League World Series doesn't go into extra innings and we have to miss everything the way they did it last Saturday.
Those dang kids living out their dreams, delaying us and keeping us awake for an extra 30 minutes. Put the kids to bed. Joe Smith Jr. and Salamov, it sounds like a Joe Smith Jr. Walk in the park to me, but James, you kind of feel the same way. Is it nice to see Joe Smith Jr. at least on free TV?
Well, I always like watching him on free TV. I like watching Joe Smith Jr. He's a move forward fighter.
Yeah.
It's not an exciting fight. Salamov is technically he's a Russian fighter, so he's been fighting primarily, out in the cold, out
Hearts
there,
on
but,
fire out there.
Yeah. Just yeah, whatever. Anyway, we'll keep moving on. But yeah, he's 21 or 26-1. He's only got 9 knockouts. I don't see him being as entertaining of a fight as the Maxim Vlasov fight was. I don't think he has the same style. I think he's just going to be someone that is setting Joe Smith Jr. up for success, and then hopefully he can get a fight with either Bivol or Beterbiev after this point. But I think this is just a pass-through fight.
It screams tune-up fight, but hey, even if the League World Series runs late, Joe Smith Jr. probably knock him out in the 4th round.
Hopefully the bag toss doesn't run late.
It's not on ESPN 8, the Ocho. It's on regular years. All right, that's the news this week. We're gonna move on from here, but a lot of bit of news this week. Fun to get to. Good job, boys. Let's move on with the show. All right, we're back in brews and previews. We are probably going to have a pre-show this Saturday before. Make sure you tune into YouTube to find out exact times in your local area. It'll probably be a short little, just to get you fired up for the show. We haven't got the logistics down to that yet, so we'll look for it. But right now, we're going to talk about the big fight of the weekend. It's fight week. It's always fun to have fight week. Pacquiao and Ugas. We're going to break it down here a little bit for you in depth. The Saturday show will be more to get you fired up for it. We're going to have both our experts break down each fighter here, and then we're going to go over some predictions and some things to look for. The most popular name in this fight with the casual fan, obviously, is Manny Pacquiao. So we'll start with Judge Jimmy James breaking down Manny Pacquiao and his 75-year career going against Ugas here. So go ahead, Judge Jimmy James, and start with what's Manny Pacquiao got to do to win this fight? What should we look for? What are some keys to victory for Manny?
Well, Grandpa Pacquiao will definitely have to do some work, right? So, interesting stats. So he's 42 years old, obviously pretty old. 8 division champion,
allegedly.
In my opinion, he is a top 10 greatest of all time boxer, just based off his body of work and what he's done, and for especially for my period of watching boxing. So, he's 62-7. He's got 32 knockouts. He's a small man, 5.5 feet, 67-inch reach, quite a few rounds of southpaw, right? I think it's at 480 plus rounds fighting. So with that being said, Pac-Man's style is going to be interesting against Ugas. I'm going to not touch on Ugas' style as much as humanly possible, so Rich can go more in depth on that. But Pac-Man's style is, in my opinion, he is the definition of an all-around boxer. He has offense, he has power, he has defense, he has footwork, he's got movement. Prototypical boxer he is not. He is definitely a one-of-a-kind individual. It makes him very difficult to fight, right? He's only got a few losses in his career. Won't go through all of them. Obviously, most people know him for the Mayweather loss. But the interesting thing about Pac-Man, in my opinion, is that he likes to jump in and get into the mix. He's not really a defensive fighter, right? And most times when you are and I say this in the loose sense of the word, but he is someone who would like to mix it up rather than, Mayweather, rather than jump around the ring, do the dodging, all that stuff. He wants to be toe to toe. He wants to fight in your face as much as possible. He doesn't shy away from it by any means. And I think that's probably what's going to happen in this fight as well, especially because that's just Pac-Man's style. So that's probably also his weakness, unfortunately, as we have seen in some fights. His past 5 fights, he has one loss, obviously the controversial loss to Jeff Horn. I think he played for the Saints. Just kidding.
Didn't the one that made the phone call from the end zone?
Yeah. But he had beat Jesse Vargas in a unanimous decision, knocked out Batiste. I think he knocked down Batiste like 3 times. Broner, I think he knocked down twice. Or maybe he didn't knock down Broner twice. But unanimous decision against Broner in 2019, and beat Thurman in a split decision in 2019 as well. So he hasn't fought in quite a while, right? We're looking at about 2 years of inactivity for Pac-Man, which is probably doesn't make me as worried with other fighters as it does with Pac-Man, or as it doesn't make me as worried about Pac-Man as it does with other fighters. But I think it's still a worry just because of his age, and given Ugas as a fighter, right? So he is at a disadvantage in height. So I think, like I said, I'm really trying not to touch on Ugas very much in regards to details, but I think that Pac-Man's keys to victory are going to be what he just does best, and it's going to be his footwork, his speed, the angles that he punches at, and kind of being relentless. I don't think he's going to win this fight on defense. I think he's going to have to go after Ugas if he wants to get either a decision or a knockout. I think if he plays the defensive fighter, that it's going to be actually a negative to Pacquiao. But that's probably what I have for this side of the fight. Kind of interested to see what old Rick's going to talk about for Ugas. So,
well, we'll get to that here in a second. Just to touch on a few of your facts here. Ugas is 5'9", so Pacquiao is 5'6", and a 69 to 67 reach advantage for Ugas as well. Age, as you touched on, Manny Pacquiao allegedly 42 years old, allegedly, and Ugas is 35. I think Manny's probably older than that. Allegedly. But Ugas may be older than that too. I'll tell you about that. But anyway, Rich, you've been following Ugas's career for a long time. You, I think, had him at number 2 on one of our early shows 1.5 years, 2 years ago as the number 2 in that division. He's done nothing but done some good things since then. He did have a disappointing fight in your eyes this last time in a victory. What's Ugas's keys to victory? What should we look for Ugas in this fight? And I'll just let you take it from there.
Well, so some of the names he's beaten, these are like kind of the more modern big names. Obviously, Pacquiao has the much deeper resume, but the Abel Ramos fight was his last one. Got a bad end of the scorecard on lost 9-3 decision, which I know we talked about suspending referees last week. That referee should have been suspended, judges, or excuse me, judges. But yeah, beat Abel Ramos, Omar Figueroa Jr. I was a big Omar Figueroa Jr. fan at the time, and still am. But Ugas beat Figueroa. He had that fight with Sean Porter, where I had Ugas winning that fight. They're still talking about that fight in press conferences. How much of a fight Ugas put up against with Porter. There's also the new Ray Robinson, not Sugar Ray, but the new Ray Robinson. He's beaten Thomas Delorme in the past. Bryant Goodfella Perella, who moved up to 160 at this point, maybe back down to 154, but a pretty big welterweight, an up-and-coming welterweight in Goodfella Perella. and beat Minnesota's own Jamal James. And Jamal James was on a 34-day rest as a replacement fighter. It was a good fight, but Ugas owned Jamal James, and he would have owned anyone coming off 34 days of rest. But the key name, the one big name that he's connected with is Yankees great Aroldis Chapman. Let's drink for the Yankees, boys. That's right.
I'm all out of Tecate.
27-time world champion Yankees. That's why he wears number 47 when he comes out to the ring. Him and Aroldis Chapman are good friends. Go Yankees.
Oh.
Now let's get down to the nitty gritty here. The first thing I think Ugas has to do to beat Pacquiao, or in order to beat Pacquiao, is use his power and intimidation. Now he only has 12 knockouts in his career, but he should have knocked out Ramos, being that was his last fight and he got a bad scorecard. I think he's learned his lesson. He's gonna have to use his power because he's obviously more powerful than the much naturally smaller Manny Pacquiao. In doing that, he's gonna have to watch out for counter punches from Manny. Manny is a slick southpaw, so if you're going to use your power punches, watch out for a quick jab, because Manny can attack on the jab. So he's going to have to play defense, and the way you're going to do that is dodging these counter punches. I don't think you're going to have to worry about Manny Pacquiao's power. You're going to have to take the power. That's all you can really do. So again, just to kind of recap really quickly, use your power, be intimidating. I remember against Porter, he had Porter in the corner and just backed him down like I hate using these terms, but like an angry dog ready to kill. So use your intimidation. Power, intimidation, and defense are going to win you this fight. And that's all I got to say. Go Yankees.
Oh, God. It's just so gross. You have to throw the Yankee stuff in there. But Manny has not been one that has not been knocked out a few times. He's definitely taken a few. He's been prone to getting knocked out a few times, and Ugas could definitely catch him in something like that. Has Ugas been knocked out? I can't remember if he's been knocked out in any of his losses. You guys know?
No, off the top of my head, no. No, so
my head. No, he's never been knocked out. So I mean, he's lost 4 decisions. So I mean, that's one thing to look for. Is obviously these are the size advantage. James, you have a little retort. It seemed like you had something you wanted to say.
I did. Well, I had a question for Rich, right? Because this is Ugas is a Cuban fighter, right? And Cuban fighters are generally known for their defense, right? Ugas is, in my opinion, at least, not your typical Cuban fighter. And I don't think he's actually a very technical fighter. I think he's probably a weird mix of aggressiveness and power, but still not polished, but doesn't leave
a little Sean Porter
open,
in him.
right?
So one thing with the most Cuban, the Cuban defensive style, this all originates back to, I wouldn't say originates, poor choice of words, but this is Olympic boxing and amateur style boxing. These guys are taught to win on points. That does not seem like it's Ugas's forte. If you caught the Rigondeaux fight last week, what he was doing was footwork and head movement. And I think that makes for maybe a boring fight, but Ugas has that in his back pocket. He doesn't really use it in his fights. He is more of an aggressive. He's more of a Luis Ortiz Cuban style fighter where he will come forward at you because he's usually the bigger guy. He is not trying to play defense running around. When I say one of the keys to beating Pacquiao is defense, in a way, what I mean is ducking and dodging counter punches. You probably shouldn't have to worry about Manny's power, but if Manny catches you, that's when you're going to be in trouble. So when I say play defense, I don't mean that Cuban style that is notoriously known in boxing circles. This is more of a don't get hit by Manny Pacquiao. Because if you get hit by Manny Pacquiao, it will hurt. although you are the stronger guy, means nothing if you can't connect. So yeah, as far as like the Cuban, the typical Cuban fighter goes, he's not your typical Cuban fighter. He moves forward. I'm not saying he doesn't have footwork and he doesn't have head movement. He does. He just doesn't use it. He never needs to use it.
Oh, he's gonna need it. He's gonna need it that night.
I don't know. I don't know if he will. I mean, I'm kind of going. Let me ask you this while I got both here. Do you guys, when Ugas fought Sean Porter, you think Ugas won that fight? Rich?
Yeah.
Do you think you won that fight, James?
6-6.
I think
Ugas.
I think it was real close.
7-5 Ugas.
I probably had Ugas winning that fight. I mean, yeah, and mad respect to Porter, but yeah.
So if you have him winning that one, he hasn't lost in 7 years. Just pointing that out, as you pointed out last week.
Hey, that's fair, man.
That's a long time to not lose, and
yeah, well,
he's a beast.
We can go to predictions and see what.
Yeah,
happens.
let's move that on to the prediction segment here. Obviously, we're gonna break it down to our final predictions. We did a low prediction last week, but we've had some more time to think about it a little bit here. And I'm curious to see if you guys have any changes from last week, especially since I've thrown a little money down on it. I'll go to the back. I'll talk to you gamblers out there what I did for entertainment purposes only, of course. But Judge, we'll start with you. What is your prediction for the fight, winner and result?
Well, you heard it here, folks. I'm a Pac-Man fan. I respect Ugas, but I think Pac-Man is going to win this fight. I'm probably going to call this a very late round TKO. Wow. So I'll probably say a 12th round TKO for Pac-Man.
So you have Ugas going down for the first time in his career. All right. Interesting. Yeah. Filthy Rich.
I think it's going to be Ugas by split decision.
Interesting. Didn't you say Ugas by... Is that what you said in the last week's show? Ugas by split decision? I can't remember either, but I know you had Ugas.
I know Ugas has to knock him out if he wants to win. Ugas has to knock him out. I don't think he's going to knock Manny out. I think smart betting money is Ugas split decision.
Okay, so you still think he still can win by decision, though? I mean, even though you said he has to knock him out, he's just going to do enough. Here's
a split decision. Somebody is going to vote for Manny, or somebody's going to have someone will have Manny winning this fight, regardless of what we see with our own eyes. Otherwise, a majority decision would be 2 rounds to 0, where one of them has it 114 apiece, or whatever it may be. But I think one person will have Manny winning. I think one judge will have Ugas winning. And then there'll be the fair judge, and the fair judge will probably see that Ugas won the fight. I think Ugas is going to win this by split decision.
Well, my prediction here that I kind of touched on last week: the one fighter, no fighter can beat his Father Time. Manny's gone a long time beating Father Time, but he's had this 2-year layoff. I think that's just way too much to overcome, even for Manny. He is Superman, but it's just too much to overcome. I feel like being off that long, his lungs may not be able to take it as long as it is. I still think it's Ugas by a decision. I think it's going to be a split decision as well with one of them. I agree with you. It's going to be one judge that has it. I still think Ugas is going to win like 7 rounds or 8 rounds, where Manny just kind of fades at the end and just kind of tries to hold on for the last 3 rounds. Maybe tries to throw everything at him at the 12th and win the 12th round. But I see Ugas winning like rounds 7 through 11, just when Manny's lungs give out on him. And I just got Ugas winning by split decision. I also have bet Ugas to win at 3-1. I've also had him to win by knockout at 8.5-1, and I have him to win by decision at 4-1. So I can win 2 out of them 3. So for your gamblers at home, if you see Pacquiao getting his arm raised, you'll know that Raider Live is crying somewhere. But that's our predictions this week. As I said, we'll have hopefully a pre-show set up for that. Make sure you tune into the YouTube channel to find that out. And that's enjoy the fight. Buy it. I know they didn't bring the price down, but buy it. Buy it anyway. It's going to be a good fight to watch. It's probably going to be a better fight than the Spence fight was going to be. I'll just tell you that. All right. That's it for our brews and previews. All right, that's our show this week. Filthy Rich, why don't you bring us on home?
Happy birthday, Tosh. Everyone go out there and support RK Acres Sanctuary, little sanctuary place for the farm animals who get a second chance of life. I'll be donating. Hope you do too. And we have breaking news quickly before we go from ESPN's Mike Coppinger is reporting that the WBC has ordered Artur Beterbiev to defend his light heavyweight title against Marcus Brown. So good night for you. Good night. Good fight. We're done here.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Marcus Brown. All right. Well, I believe he was on my list. He was up high on my list, wasn't he? I believe he was. Yep. I thought you were also going to give a quick shout out to Nico Ali Walsh, the grandson of Muhammad Ali. Got his first round knockout in his pro boxing debut. Looks nothing like Muhammad Ali, but he is the grandson of the great Muhammad Ali, and he got a knockout in his first round.
Yeah,
Judge, if they're watching us, where can they listen to us on the road? And they're listening to us on the road, where can they see my beautiful face that brings in all the views?
Oh boy, I don't know where to go with that one, Raider Live. But if you are watching us and you want to listen to us, check out any major podcast site. Just type in Brews and Boxing and you will find us. If you are listening to us and want to watch our awesome videos and look at his semi-attractive face, then you can go to youtube.com/Brews and Boxing.
All right, you heard it here first. Jimmy James is attracted to my beautiful face. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this week. We make sure you tune into the pre-show this week for Saturday, the Pacquiao versus Ugas fight. Go Ugas for my financial future and portfolio. Thank you very much, and support boxing. Go to a local fight. Go find a local fight to support here. We got some local fights coming up in Minnesota that we're going to and supporting here soon. So do that. Order the fight. Have some fun. Bring the neighbors over. Have a good time with it. For Filthy Rich and Judge Jimmy James, I am Raider Live. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you guys Saturday.